The rain came down hard the other night here at Old Stonewell Farm. We really needed it, and it sounded glorious, pounding on the old tin roof of the porch. But as I was listening to the rain, I was reminded of scripture, of how sorrow will endure the night, but joy will come in the morning again. Just as the rains come in our life, the sun will shine again. As I look at these sunflowers, I'm reminded of a friend who once operated a little cafe in Italy. And she told me that in Italian, sunflower is girasole, which means turn toward the sun. Here at the farm, the rains might fall, the troubles might come, but I vow to turn to the sun. Farm. It is the end of August, and the activity is just going on all around me and all the farms around me. I'm not a traditional farm. My husband always says, you know, when you call it Old Stonewell Farm, people are going to think that you have a real working farm. I want to tell you that this was once the home of farm tenants, those who would help other farms. And there's a lot of history in this old house, and I will do a video in the future about that. But this farm it has chickens, it has a somewhat thriving garden, not really. And I do have visions of it becoming more of a working farm. My neighbors, they use the pastures for the cows. But I guess when I say that this is Old Stonewell Farm, it is a farm in my dreams. It is the farm that I hope to create it to be someday. I'm going to talk a lot about dreams and how to take our first steps. But before I do that, I want to say thank you to all of you who have liked this page, who have subscribed. And if you haven't, please think about subscribing. It's a growing channel. Share it with friends and family. It is very heartwarming to me to see how so many people are being touched by my way of life. I don't live exactly off the grid. I want to, but I'm one of those people who want to live off the grid, but in reality can't. And so I kind of try to capture that kind of lifestyle as best as I can, while having one foot in the modern world and one foot in a more off the grid kind of world, trying to capture the way of life in the 18th century. That being said, I am so excited. I got my 18th century, these are sugar keepers and cookie keepers, and they're clay. Don't know if you can really see them very well. There's a heart, and here's a pineapple, which is the colonial symbol for hospitality. And basically, you soak these in water for about 15 minutes, and then you let them dry, and then you put them in a bowl of sugar to keep the sugar fresh. And if you have cookies, a tin of cookies, place one in the tin of cookies, and it'll keep the cookies fresh as well. So I'm excited to keep my food fresh the 18th century way. Another project I want to share with you before I spend some time talking to you about making our dreams come true. A lot of you know that I love trying to make 18th century clothing by hand using period correct patterns and material. I did create an English round gown that some of you have seen, and you can see it in the back there on the dress form. Well, my latest adventure was I discovered a pattern of a woman's jacket. It was a private collection in Connecticut from the 1780s. This company that specializes in historic patterns recreated a pattern so I can recreate this jacket. So far, I have sewn it by hand, and I've done all the stitching, and you can kind of see the back has a little bit of a gathering here, a little tail. That was how it was worn. And I'm not a seamstress. I have no idea what I'm doing. I have fun challenging myself, which brings me to our dreams. When we have dreams inside of us that we want to make come true, and sometimes they seem impossible, I think we have to fight through the fear. I think it's fear that keeps us from really getting to the life we want to have. And I think that we have to work through the fear, but we also have to challenge ourselves to step out in faith, to not be paralyzed by that fear, not to be paralyzed by doubts. But we need to really challenge ourselves to venture into what we feel like we cannot do, what is unknown. I mean, just the very fact, my husband laughs at me, and I have so many patterns and so many clothing that I want to make, colonial clothing, that he's like, where are you going to wear all of this? And I think, for me, it is the challenge. It's a challenge for me to try to master a pattern and sewing by hand. And I think really what's behind my love and my passion right now for making 18th century style clothing, it's not to wear it really around the house or go to a reenactment, but I think it's the very challenge of trying something new and then seeing it come true, succeeding. It gives me some confidence. It renews my energy. I have a lot of dreams in my heart that I carry around, and I share them with you many times. Like, for example, I am still dreaming of that little log chapel on top of Sophie's Hill. And I loved when I shared that dream with you that a lot of you wrote back to me and gave me some tips and some ideas. One little nugget of advice that I got, and it came from a friend down in Virginia, and he said, before you build anything on top of that hill, spend some time in that space. Let that space speak to you. That is really important with everything, to let that space speak, to let the ideas really come. I mean, they say that when you are decorating a house, when you move into a house, don't rush out to fill it up, fill up the rooms. Let the space speak to you. So I thought that was really good advice, that before I build anything, let the space speak to me. Take that first step of really listening. In fact, I can't wait to delve into this book that just came, How to Build and Furnish a Log Cabin. So yes, I have a lot going on. So I was thinking about that. I was thinking about my friend's advice. And as I was doing some research and reading, it also says too that you have to let the trees speak to you. And I'm like, I never thought about that before. Let nature speak to you. Let the trees speak to you, the ones that you're going to cut down. Now, a little word about that. I really didn't want to cut down any live trees, but my husband who spent some time logging, said, those trees that have already fallen on Sophie's Hill, you don't want to use those because they're already rotted. He has a good point. But it pained my heart to cut down trees. And he reminded me, though, and it's a good reminder in life in general, he reminded me that for things to really flourish, you have to cut down something, you have to clear space, you have to weed out things. So like weeding out a garden for other flowers to really flourish. Same goes with a heavily wooded area. Oftentimes you've got to clear out some of the trees to allow the younger saplings to grow, to thrive. So I'm not going to feel too badly about cutting down trees, because there are a lot of young saplings there that are just being choked out, being crowded out by the older trees. All week I've been thinking about this listening. And of course, Frederick Buechner, the writer, theologian, Presbyterian pastor, he passed away on August 15th. And so he's been on my mind a lot. As I said in my last video, he lived up the mountain road from me. He's been on my mind because he all his life, he basically had just like one theme, one sermon. And as a pastor, I'm told many times that every pastor has just one sermon in their life that they just repeat or repackage in many different ways. His theme: listen to your life. What is it saying to you? Where is it leading you? So I'm thinking about listening to my life. What is it saying? Where is the divine calling me? And then on top of that, I've been getting these messages from friends, from books, from my research, to listen to the trees before I build a log cabin. Listen to my passions, whether it's making a 1780s women's jacket from a private collection in Connecticut. Listen. I began taking steps to finally get an 18th century outdoor bake oven made on the property. And I cannot wait to have it built. I cannot wait to make my first loaf of bread in it. I can't wait to invite you over for Sunday dinner and some cooking recipes and cooking demonstrations from that oven. So stay tuned, and once again, subscribe if you haven't, so you can get these videos sent directly to you or notified about the latest video. I'm thinking all about this listening to life. Listen, and what is it telling you? Really listen, because your life is guiding you, your passions, your dreams. They are all speaking and trying to lead you to where you're supposed to be. Listening to your life is what Frederick Buechner always urged people to do in his many writings. The other day, as I'm getting my bake oven made, I have a stonemason, decided it was just too much of a big project for me to do on my own. So we have a local guy who's just brilliant. He's a genius when it comes to stonework. I was sitting on the porch and I was working on my writing, and he was out there with his colleague working, and they were dumping off the stones, and he was quiet. And I kind of looked up from my computer, and I saw that he was just looking at the stones. And I made a joke, and I said, "Hey, Dan," I said, "are the stones speaking to you?" And he was serious. And he was like, "Yeah, they are. They do talk to me." And when I watched him so intently looking at the stones, I realized he was listening to what the stones were saying. He was listening to which one to use. He was listening for how to create something beautiful out of them. They were speaking to him. And I thought, wow, of course that makes sense. Any creative person will tell you that their art will whisper to them. Whatever they're inspired by, they're hearing it. Be it the stones are speaking to a stonemason, be it the trees are calling out to the one who wants to create a cabin, be it the right material, the right trim for an 18th century jacket. If you really listen, you'll be led to the right stone, the right tree, the right pattern. Listen and you will be led to create something beautiful, but you have to listen. And so I think it's the same thing with our lives. We have to listen to our lives, for our lives do speak to us. Our lives speak to us powerfully through nature, through friends, through poetry, through a painting. And for that dream that is wanting to be born, take the first step, a baby step, and listen all around to your life, because your life is speaking to you. It is speaking and telling you and whispering, showing you the way in which you need to go. If you don't know what that next step is, if you feel immobilized, paralyzed, if you feel weighed down by doubts, if you are at that place right now, even if you're just tired, then let me tell you, it will pass. You're not alone. That tomorrow will bring hope. That your dreams can be realized in the most beautiful way. Just listen. Listen to your life. Trust that you can do all things. And to fight that overwhelming feeling, I know how that is. I remember years ago, an editor friend of mine at the magazine I used to work for in New York City, he was my managing editor and I was still a business reporter. And I used to get so overwhelmed because he would give me so many assignments. And every time I would have my assignment meeting with Fred, was his name, I would just be like, oh my gosh, I can't do it. That's impossible. I can't. There's no way I'm going to make that deadline. I can't do this. And Fred used to always say to me, deep breath, calm down. I know you can do this. Take baby steps. And for all the years that we worked together, every meeting, Fred would remind me, baby steps, and you'll get there. So with all that is going on here at Old Stonewall Farm, an 18th century bake oven, a log chapel on the hill, even maybe a stone labyrinth in the back pasture to walk and to pray, there's a lot going on. And it might seem overwhelming, but I'm just going to take those little baby steps in getting it done. And I realized something, that I had all these dreams in me for many years, and by not taking a step to make them come true, by just keeping them inside and keep dreaming about them, I realized that sometimes you reach the point where you just have to do something. Because when you keep dreams locked up inside for too long, that can really add to the doubts. And when you keep your dreams locked up for too long inside and you don't take a step to give birth to them, then that can lead to depression. And I realized that was happening to me, because all of a sudden when I started to see the bake oven starting to be made and plans for the labyrinth, and I just realized that I felt my mood lifting. And I realized that I was just carrying these dreams too long, and it got to the point of just frustration that nothing was happening. So that's the other tidbit I have for you also. If you have a dream inside for a long time, today I challenge you to take a first step in making it a reality. Once you start making that first step and taking baby steps along the way, the dream might change a little bit, and that's okay. It's going to be what it's going to be. Our plans and our ideas are just so small compared to what God has planned for us. So just trust that the dream you have, it might change a little bit, but that's okay. It's just the Spirit's way of really leading you to where you're supposed to be and who you're supposed to be. So I am so excited, cannot wait for the bake oven to be done for you. In fact, after I say goodbye to you, I'm going to just drive around Vermont, and I'm going to scout out. There's a community bread oven in a local village, and I want to see what that's all about. But I can't wait for it to be done, and I'll continue to work on my 18th century jacket, and I'll keep you posted with all the other projects I have. But for now, I just want to say thank you for being on this journey with me, and I hope that I have blessed you in some way today. I hope that I have given you some encouragement to go forth and take a baby step to making your dream come true. Do it. And I would love to hear what that dream is. I would love to hear what that first step is that you took. I'm here to pray with you and to encourage you, because we are all in this world together, on this journey together. And I would just love to support all of you in your dreams, and know that beautiful, beautiful things can be created by you. That your dreams can add brightness to this world. So until next week, God bless, and subscribe to this channel. Leave me a comment. I would love to hear from you.